Hey, good morning, church family, and welcome to week number 9 of getting to come to you through our YouTube channel. Before we get started, we got a special treat today, but before we get to that, I do have a couple things that I need to share with you that people have been asking about, or maybe you saw come through in your email this last week. The first is people are wondering when we're going to start getting back together. I can tell you right now that we had a plan, and with the latest slowdown in the reopening, we're going to have to gather together again and talk about it. We had planned to start trying to regather the first Sunday of June. We were looking for some outdoor venues to have our first 2 Sundays together. But again, we're trying to figure out what this new plan is. It's been put into place, and we'll be meeting again, and we'll start getting that word out. But we are anxious to start getting back together. We're trying to be responsible, but we're also trying to get ready, and we're ready to see you all again. But just pay attention to your emails. Maybe we'll make another video to let you know when that's put together, but we are thinking about the time that we can be back together. Part of the other announcement I have comes because of the fact that it's been so long that we haven't been together and we aren't exactly sure when we can. We wanted to offer you a gift. It's something we'd actually been talking about for a year, but we decided to go ahead and offer it to you now during this time, because I know especially many of you that have children, they don't particularly want to listen to me on a Sunday morning all the time, and they're used to going to children's church. They're used to having something that's a little more age appropriate and that they understand. So we're excited to share that our church has access now to an extensive new video library called Right Now Media. And the best way it's been explained is that it's like the Netflix of Bible studies, and it has a huge library of faith-based videos, teachings, all kinds of stuff. In fact, I believe it's a little over 20,000 things that you can choose from. So we have decided to go ahead and purchase that. We are making it our curriculum, we hope, for the year, so all of our teachers can use it when we do get back together. But in the meantime, this is available to anybody connected to our church that we have sent that link out to. You can use it and watch it on your TV. You can use it on your phone. You can use it on your tablet. If you have a Fire Stick, a Roku stick, any of those things there, you have access to that if you will sign up through the email that we sent you. So if you saw that and are wondering what it was, or if you see it come through again, if you're in Gmail, it might have went to your promotions tab. Maybe it went to your junk file. I encourage you to look for an email from Right Now Media. That is legit. Excuse me. That is legit. That is from us. And we encourage you to sign up and be connected and just have all of that at your fingertips, at your convenience, to search through and continue in your journey with Jesus. Just to give you a little taste of what it is, we do have a video we're going to show you right now to give you a little bit more of an idea, but be on the lookout for that. We're going to keep promoting it. There's nothing to lose by signing up and having that as another part of your time of devotion and alone time with God or time with your family. So we encourage you to take advantage of it and enjoy it. But in the meantime, watch this little video we have here that explains a little bit more of what it is.
Welcome to our study of the Gospel of John.
I have fallen in love with the work of Paul as I've studied the book of 1 Corinthians, and I believe you will too.
This is where Jesus taught in Capernaum, and you have to understand this scene.
The Lord is my shepherd. And over the next 6 weeks, we're going to look deeply into the 23rd Psalm.
Right Now Media. It's for groups. It's for personal devotion. It's for parents.
The bullseye of parenting is to raise children who become like Jesus.
It's for kids.
This is Phil. We're digging into the Bible, which, as we've mentioned, is more than just a book.
It's for tough times.
So when you recognize that you're trying to have a conversation with your spouse and they're not ready to talk, it's not helpful to keep pressing them.
It's for every phase of life.
If you've made mistakes with money, you know what that makes you? Over 12.
And now, it's yours. We've purchased a Right Now Media subscription for everyone in our church. So check your inbox for the digital invitation and download the app for instant access to thousands of biblically based videos. Get equipped. Get inspired.
So there you go. I hope you get a chance to look at that email, get signed up, and enjoy all those opportunities and Bible studies and videos and all that that's available to you now. And just take advantage of that and enjoy them. Today, we have a very special treat. This was supposed to be graduation weekend, and obviously it is not. But we had planned ahead of time to have someone special speak on this day. Those that are part of our church on a regular basis pretty much know Gracie Hickson, one of our young people that was to be graduating, who has felt a call into ministry and has spoken to us a time or two. In fact, one of our themes that we follow is because of her, hangs in our sanctuary. And we had planned on her speaking on this day, on this graduation Sunday, but obviously things have gotten messed up, so we weren't sure about it. And I talked to her and said, do you still want to do it? And she's apprehensive because it's a different venue. It's a little more nerve-wracking again to talk to the camera, but she said she'd be glad to do that. And so it's a treat to be able to say today, you don't have to listen to me, you get to hear from Gracie. Gracie is very special to me. We've got some great young people. She's one that I've connected with even more. And we often say, we know she's still a teenage girl, but I'm amazed at the maturity of this young teenage, now I would say a woman. In fact, her mom found a picture not too long ago of when her first time speaking in public here at the church, and she shared that with me, and I saw that picture and then saw who she is today, and I'm just amazed at how much she has grown, not just physically from a young girl into a young woman, but also just in her walk, in her journey with Jesus. And she is wise beyond her years. She continues to grow, but she's also very honest in her struggles. She's blessed not just us, but also the Ogalla Christian Church with her and her presence and her involvement. And so she has really made a mark. And I want her to make one more mark before she gets ready to go off to the next chapter of her life. And I want her to share what God has on her heart today. So if you would welcome Gracie, I'll let her share more that she wants to share about herself and what she's doing. But if you would welcome her by pushing pause on that screen again and praying for her, I know that that would be the best thing you could do. And I think she would agree because she's quite nervous. So as she comes up, I just encourage you to push pause on the screen, say a prayer for Gracie, say a prayer for yourself that you'll hear what God has to share through Gracie, and then enjoy this treat that we have today. You can come on up, Gracie.
Good morning, church family. Jared is very right. I have been really nervous. I know that this isn't very different, but I just struggled with the idea of being in front of a camera instead of the church. And as Jared said, this would be my graduation. And we had been planning for quite a few months that I would be preaching, and I was really excited. Thought it would be really cool, and all of my family and friends could come early and they could listen to me preach on Sunday and then watch me graduate later that afternoon. But obviously the plans have changed, and I'm just so thankful that I'm still able to speak to you guys. It's just, you guys have been such an amazing part of my lives and have helped me grow so much. And I'm just so thankful for you guys and so grateful that I get to share with you guys one more time before I leave. I just wanted to thank you guys all for this amazing journey that I went on in this church, growing up here in the Waukene Church of God. It's been incredible. You guys have helped me learn. You have loved me. You have prayed for me. You have helped send me to 11 years worth of church camp, which I can't even, it's just been so awesome. But I want to share some memories I have from growing up in the church before I get started on my sermon. When I was getting ready before everything, the shutdown, I was like, I want to start off my sermon by talking about some of my favorite memories, just as a last hurrah since I'm getting ready to go. So one of the things I remember from growing up in this church was when I was little and I went to children's church. Barb Pope would do these felt Bible stories with this whiteboard. And I will never forget when she did Adam and Eve. was so excited because I loved the felt stories, and they just were super cool, and I just remember her doing them, and it was just a fun thing for us kids, and I won't forget it. Another thing I remember is when I was little and I still went to Wednesday night here, when we still had a big Wednesday night, we would sing this song, My Father's House, and our pastor would be above in the sound booth, and we'd be singing the song, and then it'd get to the part and he would scream, whose house, as loud as he could, and us kids would scream back, God's house, just in this squeal, and then we would laugh, and it was a little thing, but it meant a lot, and just growing up, it's something I didn't forget about. And one more thing I remember from when I was in 4th grade and I got baptized. After I got baptized, we had some more worship, and Bill Nowlin sang I Can Only Imagine, and after I got done, my dad's like, man, you are so lucky that Bill Nowlin got to sing on the day you got baptized. You won't forget that. He's right. I didn't. But it's just been an amazing ride with you guys as my church family. I can't wait to go away and learn more at college, but I can't wait to come back and see you guys. And I know that when I leave, you aren't going to stop praying for me, that you're not going to stop thinking about me and caring about me, because you guys have just been an amazing church family. But this sermon, it's been difficult for me to think of what to talk about. I honestly have been, for the past month, thinking about it every day. Like, what should I talk about on May 17th? What should my sermon be about? And I couldn't really get it into a sermon. I had a lot of things on my heart, but I didn't know how to put them into a sermon. And since I have a lot of time on my hands right now, it gives me plenty of time for my brain to just think and think. And if you know me, you know that that can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing, because sometimes I just can't stop thinking and my thoughts just get away from me and I stress out and my anxiety goes through the roof. But with everything going on in the world, I found myself shutting down. Like, there's just so much going on, and it's just can be overwhelming that I found myself shutting down. I wasn't losing my faith, but I didn't feel it was the time to grow my faith. And that's ridiculous when I think about it, that I was at that point, or I'm at that point, but it happens, and it happened to me. Everything was challenging, and it was just hard enough on me. I didn't want to dive deeper into my faith and come across the challenges that come with diving deeper. Because when you dive deeper, things do get harder. You want to better yourself, and you just come across the challenges that God gives you, and it can be scary. And I just became so scared and less active and praying and writing and reading my Bible, and I just kind of shut down diving deeper, and I just was kind of just going through the motions, I guess. And then this past week, I finally realized it was time for me to stop controlling my life and put God back as my center again. This 1 foot in faith and this 1 foot out faith was making me a really easy target for Satan. He could just get into my head and manipulate me so much easier than when I was strong in my faith and I was always reading and writing and praying and trusting God with everything. But as many of you know, if you've gone to the church, you have seen that I've been through a lot of struggles, and I can fall off the path multiple times. But it's awesome because I always get back on. I always get back on track. And the things that I learn when I am getting back on track or when I fall off are kind of amazing. Like what I'm talking about today, I just feel so open and like I know more about it because I went through it, and like it's something everyone goes through and everyone struggles with, and I was just able to really grasp it and understand it. And even though I hated getting off track and falling off the path God has for me for a little bit, I've grown and learned from it a lot. And I think that when I get back on track, I will be stronger. So we are going through hard times right now, and it can be really overwhelming. Some things that I'm obviously a senior, so there are a lot of things that were taken away from me. I couldn't finish my senior year. I am really big in forensics and speech, and I couldn't finish my season. I could no longer come to the church every single day because that was part of my schoolwork. Every day in the last hour, I would come and spend it shadowing Jared and just learning things from him and going and visiting people, and I'm no longer able to do that. And it was all super overwhelming. And then everything else that just has been happening to all of us, like we have to stay inside and we're always watching the news, seeing what's happening. And it's really terrifying. And then thinking, what's gonna happen now? How are we going to move on from this? It's just been extremely overwhelming. And one thing I realized is I seemed fine. Like, it didn't seem like it really bothered me. Like, I didn't talk about it much. You just couldn't tell on the surface that it was bothering me. And then sometimes I didn't even think it was bothering me. I was like, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But I was very wrong. It was freaking me out, and everything was a mess. But it was deep down inside that it was stressing me out, and it was causing me to just think so much about the what ifs and what's going to happen now. And that's what got me thinking about this sermon idea, is because this is happening right now, but it also happens all the time. Because things can be out of control and stress me out to a point where I shut down and say, everything is fine. We put on this show that everything is all good and we have it all together. But that's not the case. That wasn't the case for me. I didn't have it all together. I just wanted to tell myself and to tell others that I did. I did have it all together. But what are we really getting out of this situation when we say we're fine and we have everything under control? Nothing. We are lying to ourselves. And the craziest part is, God already knows that we are struggling. He already knows every little thing we are panicking about or what is scaring us. And when I realized that, it hit me like, we try so hard to hide things. We try so hard to act like it's not hard. But God already knows, and so why can't we just admit it? Why can't we just admit that we're struggling or we're broken? And a verse I have that kind of I felt really went well with this, and I just really enjoyed, was 1 Chronicles 28:9. And you, my son Solomon, acknowledge the God of your father and serve him with wholehearted devotion and with a willing mind. For the Lord searches every heart and understands every desire and every thought. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will reject you. I loved the middle of that verse. I just thought it was really awesome when it said that he knows your heart, he knows your thoughts, and it's so true. And I think sometimes we try to act like we are the only ones that know, but that's not the case. We're scared for that next step in our lives. God already knows that he is ready to go through that journey together. I've been told before by one of my friends, when I was scared of the journey of going to college, that God puts us in certain situations for a reason. But the big part for me was he isn't going to take us into a situation and not be there to catch us if we fall. And that includes right now or any time in our lives. If we're scared of the situation that we're in, and we're scared of what can happen, and we're not in it alone. We have God right by our side, walking with us. He'll pick us up. He'll hold our hand. He is strong and mighty. Therefore, we can do things through him and with him. I can see what I am doing. And feel that maybe some other people are doing it too, and that's why God has put this on my heart. Is I am shutting down and telling myself everything is fine when it's not. I decide to be content where I am at in my faith, because the idea of being challenged and changed scares me. And that's the big part, I think, that I'm struggling with right now and have been struggling with, is the idea of being challenged and changed scares me, especially right now with everything that's going on, and it's just overwhelming. I'm thinking, I don't want to change right now, but I feel like this hinders us from growing our faith. Like it can really just put a standstill on us getting stronger and creating a better relationship with God. But while I was working on this sermon, I found myself thinking of a song that I used to hear at youth group before we could no longer meet. It's called Truth Be Told by Matthew West. And I love this song. The first time I heard it, I immediately told my youth group leader, we got to listen to this song more often. I loved it, and I encourage you guys to listen to it. It's just an amazing song, and it meant a lot to me, and it spoke to me. And the song is talking about how we don't want to admit the truth, that we are not fine. We are broken. Ever since I heard this song, there's been one line that stood out to me, and every time when I would sing it in church, I'd be like, yes, I love this line. And I don't know why it's so hard to admit it, when being honest is the only way to fix it. I love that. It's so true. Like, why is it so hard for us to admit that we're falling apart, that we're struggling, that things aren't easy, but why is it so hard to admit it? Because we have to be honest to fix it. And it's that way with anything. And that was just like a clicking moment, because I've loved that song for so long. But then with my struggles, I didn't connect them until God finally just showed it to me. And it was just eye-opening, and it opened my heart and my mind. Because God already knows when we are struggling and why we are struggling. Being honest helps us realize our worries and our struggles, and that we need to turn to God with them. So the next verse I'm going to read, I'm actually in 1 Peter a lot today. And I'm starting with 1 Peter 5, 6 through 7. And in 1 Peter 5, 6 through 7, he talks about how we can't just worry. Like, it was a verse that just stood out to me, and I just felt like it was an amazing thing to speak about. It says, humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. And it's a verse we hear often, but the importance of it never goes away. We have to give our worries to God. If we don't, we struggle, and it makes us an easier target for Satan. And then we can become worried about our future, and worried about the steps in our lives, and worried about what we can do next. And then if you keep reading 1 Peter and you read 8 through 9, it says, be alert and somber of mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that the family of believers throughout the world are undergoing the same kind of suffering. I love that. I love that so much, because it talks about why, like, I put that together with the verse above, that we need to give our worries and our anxiety to God, because the devil is just prowling around like a lion, just trying to eat up on our insecurities and get us while we're down. But if we turn to God, it's going to be harder for us to get us. I mean, it's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be harder. And that's why I just find it so important. But then in the end, it says The family of believers is going through this exact same thing. So when I'm worried about challenging myself and diving deeper in my faith because I'm scared of the challenges that are going to come with it, the whole entire family of believers is going through that. Everybody is going to face the challenges. Everybody is going to have Satan just nitpicking and coming after them. And we're all going to have that in common. We're all going to be able to get together and have experienced that. And that is just so amazing to me. And it really helps me understand why it's important for us. So I'm getting ready to go to college, and that's this very scary idea. It's very scary for me to think of moving 6.5 hours away and going to school. And I'm going to go to Ozark Christian College, which is a Bible college, and it's an amazing school. And I know that they're going to challenge me, and I know that it's going to be hard. And that scares me. And it scares me to be around people that are going to have a faith and just a strong faith, and they're going to know more about the Bible than I do, or they're going to experience things that I don't understand, and it scares me. But I choose to follow that path anyways, because it's the path that God has for me. And sometimes, just like now, I think I'm straying away from it. I think that I'm not good enough. I'm too scared. I'm too scared to challenge myself. I'm too scared. But that's what I feel God has been telling me, is we can't be scared to want to be challenged. We can't be scared of the things that are going to come in our lives. And we can't be afraid of the difficulties, because they're going to help us become the kingdom worker God has called us to be. And that's the most rewarding thing. I have watched some of my best friends grow and follow the path God has for them, and the change in them is amazing. And I want that for me, and I want that for everyone. I just want everyone to remember that even when it's scary, the importance of following the assignment, the kingdom work that God wants us to go after. And it's incredible. And if you keep reading 1 Peter 5, if you go to verse 10, I had the rest of 1 Peter picked out, and then I just decided to keep reading it, and I read verse 10, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is perfect to put in the end. This is perfect to talk about. 1 Peter 10, I'm in NIV, by the way. It says, "And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast." I love that. I love that how it says, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. It just puts it all together. It just made it click. It just made me realize, like, I'm scared. I'm scared of the struggles. I'm scared of it all. But that is what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to have these struggles. They're supposed to make us stronger and more firm in our faith. And it took me back to my favorite verse. I have talked about it before. I've preached on it. And it goes hand in hand with this. And it just fits perfectly in it. And that's James 1, 2 through 3. I'm going to read this in actually 2 different versions, because in my youth group, we've been talking about reading them in different versions. And I just thought that was so cool, because they go hand in hand, but they're still so different at the exact same time. And while I was in youth group, I decided to look up this verse and look at it in different versions. So this is the version that I usually have it in, and it's NIV. And it's, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. That verse is so strong, and I love it, and it goes hand in hand with this and going through those struggles and persevering because of the lessons we'll learn. But the version that I found myself loving that I hadn't ever really looked at was the Message of James 1:2-3. And it's, consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well-developed, not deficient in any way. I love that. I love them both so much. And I love how it says here, so don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well-developed, not deficient in any way. I love that because that is so what I feel has been happening is with everything going on, I'm thinking it's too much, I can't do it, it's too challenging, I'm too scared. But it says in James not to do that. It says in James not to get out of things, not to convince yourself to stay back or just stay where you're at. And I love it, and I love these verses, and I love how they just go exactly with what I feel like I'm just struggling with. And I'm just so excited that God put this on my heart after a long time of me not knowing what I wanted to speak about and me struggling with it. I'm just so thankful that this is what God called me to speak on. And I have one last verse to give you guys. It's another verse that I've always kind of enjoyed and cling to because it's just something that I feel is just really great for us to remember. And it's Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers. They shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. So, when we go through all these struggles and we're scared, like we are right now, we have to remember that God is right with us, and we can't be scared of these struggles. We have to persevere. We learn things from them, and we can't be afraid to dive deeper in our faith because of them. We have to keep going. We have to keep fighting. Being scared of being challenged and changed only makes us an easier target for Satan. I hope that this spoke to you guys. I hope that this was an amazing reminder. I know that we go through it, but it's just, we go through it a lot. And we go through it more than once in our lives. And just getting that reminder of why it's important for us to persevere, why it's important for us to not be afraid to dive deeper in our faith, not be afraid to ask God to break us. It's something I needed, and I really hope it's what you guys needed too. Thank you so much for bearing with me through my nerves and through my ums and my stutters. I love preaching, and I love that every time I learn something, I learn something new. And I just hope that I can get better at it. And I just thank you guys so much for everything you've done to help me become who I am today. And I can't wait for what the future has in store.